Here we go. My twin, my shirt twin today.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
everybody. Hi, Lisa. So we were just doing introductions. Where are you right now?
Actually, I'm in Jakarta, just off from
Okay.
college.
So we're all from Jakarta, but we know that there's so many people here from around the world today. There's someone from Ireland, which is crazy and super exciting. So very, very excited for this. Um, I am just gonna wait a little bit longer for everybody to join. But while we wait for everyone, I just want to say hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. And welcome to Love Bonito's International Women's Day series of conversations where we discuss and we talk about perspectives related to women's issues. So today's session, we're going to be talking about balancing education and career. This is something that is super, super personal to me, and I know that you girls are really passionate about this topic as well. So I know we have a lot to discuss today. But like I was telling Mandy, hopefully this is going to be a very chill discussion. We're just going to get to know one another and let's see what happens. Before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Nadine Sirigar. I'm the founder of Generation Girl, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. Love Bonito, a little quick introduction, is Asia's leading fashion brand where we believe in the power of community. And to us, that means a group of like-minded women supporting, sharing, growing with each other in the journey towards becoming the best version of ourselves. So
Amen to
this
that.
International Women's Day, oh, of course, we love a good community that's women supporting other women, right? So this International Women's Day and pretty much every other day, we are calling to break free from expectations of womanhood and owning our perspective because everybody's perspective matters. So if you've missed the previous sessions, you can definitely go to the Love Bonito YouTube channel using the link in the chat that I think the Love Bonito admin is going to be adding on there. But yeah, so for today, like I said, we're just going to be jumping right in. I'm super, super excited to introduce our two amazing panelists today. So first up, we've got Elisa Jonathan. So Elisa is an inspiring almost doctor, right? Soon to be
Almost.
doctor.
I love it when you got it right.
Yeah. And content creator. So her content focuses on positivity, productivity, health. And you are also, Elisa, correct me if I'm wrong, the first runner-up of Miss Indonesia 2019, right? So you focus a lot on both entertainment and the health industry. So, I mean, I think that speaks for itself, but do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for your time, wherever you are, Indonesia, Singapore. Thank you for tuning in. I hope me and everyone else, we're going to have a great discussion and we can just learn from one another.
Amazing. And of course, we have our second panelist today as well, Mandy CJ. So Mandy's a 20-year-old artist and co-founder of the Finery Report. I know that I follow the Finery Report. I'm sure pretty much everybody else who's listening in probably follows as well. So TFR was founded with the aim of observing, analyzing, and reporting business and culture within the creative industry and supporting the creative economy in Indonesia. So, like I said, you don't need an introduction, Mandy, honestly. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the elevator pitch. Like I don't need to do it anymore.
I got a little spiel. Honestly, like, I think I told you girls this yesterday, but I kind of stalked both of you. So I got a little spiel of what you girls were doing. So really, really excited to talk to you girls today. I also love the fact that you come from very different fields. So we've got Mandy coming from the creative industry and we've got Elisa coming from a more technical industry. And I know that, something that one person says isn't going to be maybe the same as what other people say. So I love the fact that we can kind of share our different perspectives from our different fields today. So I'm just going to jump right in here and maybe ask you girls to kind of share a little bit about your background, your personal journey with your education and your career, kind of get that ball rolling first, and then we can kind of move in from there. How does that sound?
Cool.
Great.
All right. So who wants to start? Hompimpa.
Mandy.
Oh no. Okay. Well, my education. So I am now the founder of TFR, and I am also an artist painter. You can see my painting right there. And I think being in the creative industry, I personally don't think that having a degree is as important as having a portfolio. So I think I've always had the privilege of knowing where I wanted to go. At the end of the day, I've always wanted to work in the creative field, because I remember when I was in high school, I was horrible at like science and maths and all that, all the jazz that Alyssa is probably really good at. So, I just decided, you know what, this is not my strength. I'm gonna just focus on what I like to do. And I've always loved drawing and expressing myself in a canvas, in my makeup, in the way I dress. And I've always felt that creative industry is where I belong. So I never went to college. I just skipped the whole part and went straight to intern at a graphic design studio and went on from there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I'm so excited to dive right into your experience, like not even being a student and being as successful as you are today. But before we go into that, Alyssa, maybe do you want to talk about a little bit about your education and career journey?
All right, cool. Hearing Mandy is like, full of adventure, but mine's more like, the usual Asian timeline. So I was pretty on time of everything. My education from primary school, from uni. So I went to medical school in 2016, and I'm still in medical school till now. It's been like 6 years. Yeah, I still have 2 years to go. I took a second degree in research in plastic surgery in Melbourne last year. I finished that. Yeah, now I'm interning in several hospitals in Jakarta. Yeah, I'm just maintaining that. So after 2 years, then I'll become a doctor. Maybe I took specialist, and yeah, the education role still going until I'm about 30.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah,
Wow.
I love the fact that you girls are so different. Like, that's incredible. I honestly don't think we could have chosen two more polar opposites, but the fact that you girls are both so successful in your fields is so incredible. So Mandy, let's dive into you first. So you said that you interned a couple of times. So what did you gain from those experiences, and why did you decide you ended up wanting to be an intern instead of going to school?
Okay, before I have to start, respect to you. Oh my God, I don't know the struggles of being a student, and it takes so much dedication to go to school for like a decade, and
I know, right?
To start your career. That's crazy to me. That's so crazy.
That's crazy for me too, girl.
Well, I think I got the fast track way, because I decided that I wanted to intern in a lot of different places, because I feel like first of all, I have the privilege, I have the financial privilege to be able to do that. And second of all, I've always wanted to get connected and gain experience from being in the industry, because I know I took a graphic design class before this, and I know that the brief and the way you communicate in the office and at school is completely different. And the only way you can experience that fully is if you just dive into it. So I thought, as a student with no connections at all, the only place that I could go to was an internship. And I feel like it really built up my career, because it brings humility to who you are. Since everything now, especially I became an influencer at 17, and everything was really fast. But when you come to an internship program, I think you've really had to explore the industry from level 0. So you dari kayak gotong galon, I don't know what and like sweeping the floors, and
literally from zero, right?
Yeah, from zero. From having to do all the petty businesses. And I feel like it builds character, internship, especially I think especially if you have like a really scary boss, you know, a very demanding boss.
Is this like a little churhat session?
Devil.
Yeah, it is.
That
It is.
experience?
I mean, I'm sure there's one in the medical field as well, like professors, like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so Mandy, I love the fact that you said that it builds character. I definitely agree with you. What you learn in school in the classroom is sometimes a little bit, what is it like? It's not exactly what you would
Yeah.
envision it would be in the real world, right? So like
Yeah.
when you see it in such a sanitized environment, and then you like hop into an internship and you're like, whoa, like wait, hold on, what's going on? Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love the fact that like you said that it builds character, because I 100% agree with that. So Elisa, now I kind of want to like dive into your field, because obviously you come from a very technical field, so it's very different, right? Like Mandy, who comes from a
Yeah.
more creative field, you don't potentially have to go to school, right, to be very successful. But obviously, as a doctor, like if you can't be a doctor without going to school for like pretty much most of your life, right? So, can you share like why you chose this field, and what are your thoughts in terms of education versus experience in a technical field?
Okay. So I decided to go to medical school maybe because it was a very, long-time dream, childhood dream. I always wanted to be a doctor. I was very persistent on that, and I catch up till I'm in uni. I didn't think about other option at that time when I was in high school. Maybe because it's not as in my era. It's not as fast as now. Like it's still very, the workplace is still you need degree, diploma, whatever, yada yada yada. It's different than now. So yeah, so it was 6 years ago, girl. 6 years ago, our internet sucked and everything. So my knowledge is also very slow. So yeah, and then that one I want to talk about is experience versus school. Mandy was absolutely right that if you're in school, it's very sanitized, as you said. It's very different. People will treat you as a student. Then, because I'm quite privileged, I have the option, I have this another bubble of life in entertainment industry as well, but not as deep as Mandy, but just a little, piece of cake of that. So I can taste how it works, how I should work, just beyond the hospital. And it really helps because I feel people in my age that's still in study or they're still in uni, they're lacking like the chop. They're very slow at thinking everything through. They're very in one way, just this way that will guide me through the light. Yes. So they don't see left and right. That's why if you going to school that long, maybe you just lose that sense of edge, like world is full of possibility. If you can't excel in school, then it's okay that you have other options. I just want to say that out loud because there's so many of my friends that don't think this is their passion along the way, and just keep going because they think there's no option for them. They dive too deep. Look at Mandy. There's a lot of other options in this world, and I think that's just a very good point. Maybe school is not for everyone, and I totally agree with that, and it's totally okay.
Yeah, so just based on what you just said, I kind of want to ask a follow-up question, if that's okay. So you said, obviously, you're in medical school right now, which is super hard, right? It's very time consuming. I have a lot of friends also who are doctors or soon to be doctors, and I know how difficult that must be. But you did say that you kind of do touch upon a little bit about the in the entertainment industry as well. I know that we did talk about you being the runner-up for Miss Indonesia. So how do you balance that? How do you balance the education versus the work experience, even if it's not in the same field?
All right. So the science field, especially like engineering, medicine, all the science stuff, it's really demanding. It's not only medicine. So people tend to, you want to go to that, take that degree. Gonna have no life. You're gonna just sit around on your desk and not hanging out. Nerds. Probably they will say that. But
that was me.
That's what I want to say. I mean, if you took that field, you still have another life. Like, I have another life, you have another life, right? Like, we're not segregated from the rest of the world. You, uh, education is one thing, your personal life and your passion is another thing too. And both of them, you need it. You don't have to just focus on one. That's why how I balance it all, it's necessary, it's not an option. It's like, I want to keep sane. I don't want to, uh, be a little bit cuckoo because I study too much. Yeah, I just want to be balanced like a, human being. And I think everyone, if you want to take med school, you can still do what I do. You still can hang out, and I have other thing. You can be a painter as well. There's a lot of my professor and doctors, they are photographer,
Wow.
when they have a lot of money, they just go wow, and then can shoot the Eiffel Tower for fun. That's okay. They call it their passion, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I relate so much to your story. So I also went to school for engineering, and then I started
me about it.
Generation Girl as a nonprofit while I was working as an engineer, and I was like, I don't like, because it was so much context switching for me, right? It was like I was working my day job. I was like very, very, I was solving problems. I was like an engineer. I was building things with my hands. And then on the side, I was also trying to like build up this movement and this community, which takes like such a different part of my brain. And the problems that I was trying to solve were just so different. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to burn out if I don't choose one or the other, because I'm just like using too much of my brain at such a like high speed. And so I decided to like focus a little bit more on Generation Girl, and now I'm, I guess, an ex-engineer. But yeah, like I love the fact that you were able to marry both of your passions and continue to, yeah, or like combine them together, I guess. You are able to combine your passions together that are so different, right? And I think a lot of people think like, oh, your day job has to be your passion, or like, oh, your day job has to be whatever your side projects are in or something. And like the fact that you didn't do that is so cool. So I love the fact that you just like continued to go like both paths, even though like you do figure out a way to make it work, which is crazy. I'm so inspired by you. Also, I also love a woman in STEM, of course. Yeah. All right. So for our next question, oh, by the way, the audience here, all 150 of you that are joining us today, if you guys have any questions as well for Mandy or Lisa, feel free to drop them down below in the little question box thingy. Then we're going to do a Q&A session at the very end for all of your questions. So feel free to drop any below. Okay, so my next question, because since I'm the moderator, I get to ask as many questions as I want. We're going to be playing a little Would You Rather. So this is actually a game that is coming from Love Bonito's International Women's Day digital cards. So as you girls know, the International Women's Day event is going on throughout the entire month, right, with Love Bonito. And with every single session, they've created a different digital card that the audience can actually download as well, so that they can also start having a lot of these more honest conversations with their loved ones and with their friends. So we're going to do a little snippet of it. We're going to play one of them. It's going to be a Would You Rather. So please let me know, which one would you rather, and then also maybe give a little description as to like why you chose that one. So would you rather get a head start by gaining work experience in your desired industry, or would you rather continue to further your education to obtain a university degree? I feel like you girls are gonna have such different answers.
Actually, I would choose the first one.
So get a head start by gaining working experience.
Yeah. Know what you want, girl, then go to uni for that.
Oh my gosh, actually, that is so right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I agree with Alyssa. 100%.
Before so you would rather like choose, right? Okay. No, sorry, continue. Keep going.
Oh, no. What would you choose? Mandy choose.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mandy. Oh, Mandy also chose the first one, right?
Okay, cool.
I think I agree with you girls. Like for me at least, this is just me personally. I don't particularly enjoy school, so I need to have like a reason to go to school, right? So when I was doing my master's, I did my master's in social entrepreneurship, and I was like, I'm not going back to school unless I like have a something at the end of the tunnel, right? Like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you girls? So like why did you choose to get a head start by working?
Honestly, I think I possibly just didn't have any other choice. I think I've always hated school since I don't know, since SD, since elementary school. I've always hated going to class and having to sit down and listen to the teachers, and it feels so like the bureaucracy. I felt like I hated it. So, you know, I just wanted to explore something more. And I think also the fact that I've never really excelled academically. So that's just my reason, plain and simple. But honestly, I think I want to continue school. Like just now, because I'm already in the work industry, I feel like my life is so monotonous to this routine that I forgot what it felt like to be a student that can have fun or have not as many responsibilities. Even though I'm sure medical students do, but you know, the creative students, like even though we do have our assignments and it's probably a challenging in a different way, I feel like I do want to try that, you know, one day, and I want to come back to it, circle around my life to it, even though I'm scared that I'm too old to come back to it.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is a teaser to everyone, right? Mandy is going to be going back to school sometime soon.
I hope so.
Promise, right? Yeah. Do you know what you would want to study if you do end up ever going back to school?
I think it'd be advertising or business. Yeah. Because I feel like I've sort of like flowed out my creative juices with like painting and designing and doing all that stuff, but I've never had the academic lesson to strategize the plan or like the businesses, you know, and I feel like that's important, and I actually want to know what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the reason why I went back to school, right? Because I was like, I want to grow this, but I didn't know how, and I didn't have the skills because my Asato, my university was in engineering, right? And I was like, if I want to end up creating a business and I don't have the foundations, I think a lot of it was more so imposter syndrome more than anything else. So I was like, if I feel like I need to do this for myself so that I do have the foundations to do this. But the fact that like, look at how amazing TFR already is, and you did that without any degrees whatsoever. So
thank you.
Like
it's all the credit goes to my partner. Everything to my team and everyone. We wouldn't be there without it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with your leadership, of course, but yes, kudos to you and your entire team. All right. So, I mean, we kind of touched upon my next question already to you, Mandy, about higher education and whether or not it's worth it. Maybe instead of that question, I'm going to ask you, and this is actually something that I think someone asked, one of the Q&A audience was asking. So how would you make an interesting resume or portfolio for a college student that doesn't want to have any work experience? If I click on it, there you go.
Okay, that does not have any work experience. That's actually a unique question, because usually you would make a resume because you want to go to work, you know. But I think a good resume, something that will stand out, is that if you participate in a lot of student organizations, because that will sort of show another side of you, leadership skills or interpersonal relationship skills, communication skills that you probably won't have in a proper course. So I think you can go into like different communities and try to go into student competitions. I feel like if you have a prize or for that, they would probably pick you. And language, actually. Language. Yeah, if you're good in speaking English or Indonesian really well, I think in the creative industry especially, that's something that will stand out. Yeah.
Oh wow, I never actually thought about that, but that is very true now that I think about it.
Oh, and make sure you type in your body email. You know, don't like, emails is so important. Like, I get a lot of resumes and applicants coming in, and if they don't have a body email, I ignore them, because you have to be polite to apply to your first job. Maybe that's not in your resume or portfolio, but the way you present yourself in an email is the most important thing.
Okay, so everybody remember that. If you're ever emailing Mandy, always use body email, or else you're just gonna get ghosted. Yeah, no, so I love the fact that you were touching upon student organizations, because I think that is a really, really good way for any student to get involved and kind of get work experience without actually having to get work experience, right?
Yes.
Did you ever participate in any? Oh wait, no, but you didn't go to school. So what student organizations would you have gone to?
No, even in high school, I didn't really participate in any of that, because I wasn't really aiming to go to college or university. But I do have the benefit of having an art portfolio, you know, so I have another interest and passion that sort of stands out for me, so people can know that I do a lot of different projects, and I have a lot of different sides of me that I can contribute to the company that I want to work in. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that is so, I'm writing that down actually. Like, it's not just like the technical skills, right? But it's also the interpersonal skills, the soft skills, right? Like your art skills even. Those are such different aspects that you can add on to your resume and to potentially get a job, right?
Definitely. Okay. And honestly, I think, especially if you're working in the creative industry, I think your social media profile is also a factor, especially if you want to do any jobs in marketing or product development. I think if you can make a good profile, be it Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, I think they would let you in a little bit better, because the HR would definitely screen your social media pages.
Oh, okay, that is a very good tip.
Everyone was stalked.
So then basically you would never hire me because I don't have a personal Instagram, but my dog does. So you might hire my dog, but not me.
No, of course not. I mean, I think it depends. The social media page part depends on what job you want to apply for. But for me, it is important.
That's
me as a founder.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. And actually, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you as well, Mandy, but we'll get to that in a bit. I want to talk to Elisa a little bit more right now. So Elisa, as an aspiring doctor, obviously a lot of the work and the internship that you're doing right now is super, super practical, right? It has to be like, you can't exactly do like work from home, or I guess you can't really do like online school as a soon to be doctor, right? So how has COVID impacted the way that you work?
Well, there is a good side, there is a bad side. The good side is everything became much more practical, less bureaucracy, less paperwork, everything else online. I loved it every second. Like, all the discussion is online. Just imagine, I used to have to wait just on the hospital hallway just to have a discussion about several patients. But now, since the COVID era has taken over, all the doctors learn how convenient Zoom is, you know, and how comfortable and how you can present anything, through that. So that's the good side. And the bad side is maybe, yes, you get less time in the hospital sometimes because you now divided by shift. But I think it's not as bad as we all think it's gonna be, because still institution have the obligation to build credible doctors, right? So they're doing everything they can to push everyone and to make us wear through two masks with face shield, with gown, with everything that they can do to protect, daily PCR, all of that jazz. But it's soon gonna end. So I think, yeah, I'm just up for the good. The bad, I mean, we cover that up. We can just we catch up all the skills. The good is everything becomes so fast and efficient, and I love it.
Yay!
So actually, there's always a silver lining, right? There's always like a blessing in disguise here. Yeah. I mean, we always think of COVID as, we always think of COVID as something that is potentially, you know, not great, but there is actually a lot of good or a lot of progress that came out of this pandemic, right? Especially for doctors or soon to be doctors. So very, very exciting. All right. So Mandy, the question that I wanted to ask you as well about social media, because we did touch a little bit upon, you know, you said how important social media is and how you became an influencer or a content creator so early in your life. So how has social media kind of helped you balance your school and your career, or maybe even have you help you have both?
I think, especially for creative people like me, social media for us is a portfolio, is the way, is where you show your works and your personal branding. I'm pretty sure Alyssa's has also related to that, especially in your Putri Indonesia competitions, or Miss Indonesia, I'm sorry. If that's right, yeah. So I think I feel like social media has made it available for me to have another artistic persona that I would not be able to show to so many audiences, with so many people, without it. And it sort of like gave a lot of people the equality of voicing their opinions there, or showing their styles, or making sure that everything is translated into the way they see the world. So I think as a visual person, as someone in the creative industry, social media is really important, because it kind of shows of a part of who you are and what you want to portray to the world, which is eventually, at the end of the day, a tactic to get more jobs or to, you know, the way you portray yourself. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, it really does. Elisa, I know obviously this was a question for Mandy, but I think you can also definitely add on to this, because you are obviously also a content creator and you're trying to balance them both. So do you think you would be able to balance both if you didn't have social media? Like if we lived in the 90s or even the early 2000s?
Like balance between med school
your med school and your content creation.
Okay. But if we don't have like social media, I don't think I will have that content creating job, isn't it?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe on like MySpace or something, right? Friendster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know the world without social media.
Yeah.
I'm a 2001 baby. I don't know
You're
the
born
world without YouTube.
One?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes, I'm still so small.
Literally, like as you were saying that, I was like speechless. I was like, oh, cool.
Oh. Yeah, babies right here.
Yeah, I'm a 90s baby, so I definitely remember the world before, you know, Wi-Fi. It was a very
different
interesting
world.
time. Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I guess you did answer your own question, Lisa. Like, you would not have this job of content creation without Instagram, right? So that's like a whole new industry that just popped up, and it's really helped a lot of people, I guess, like you and you, Mandy, as well, kind of like you said, portray two different sides of yourselves without having to change careers or without having to you know, like change industries, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So this was a question also that a lot of people were asking. I'm just gonna sum a lot of them up because I think a couple people were asking. But what were some of the biggest challenges that you guys have learned from your education and your career journeys, and what are the lessons that you took from that? This is to
I'm
both
sorry,
of you.
could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So what are the biggest challenges that you've learned from your journey, and what are the lessons that you can maybe give? The biggest lessons and the biggest challenges.
Okay. Alyssa, do you want to go first?
Okay. Um, after being in school for so long and also working, it's really taught me the key of being consistent. Being consistent on your work and then your journey. Like sometimes, like sometimes, yeah, med school student always think that, oh, this is taking so long. Can I just quit or do something like that? But you're already deep in 6 years of education. And then as I think about it again, that it questioned me about my consistency. Like if I quit now, does it mean my world or what I'm gonna do next is gonna be better and more, not wary? Because when I go and we deep into like workplaces, we also need to be consistent, right? We need to give 100%. It's even worse than being in school because when you're at work, you're working. They demanded you to perform good. At school, if you don't perform good, then ya udah gitu kan.
Yeah, like that's on you, right?
You're paying tuition, girl. We can't just kick you out. That's the lesson is being consistent. Whether you're in school or whether you're at work, you need to be consistent. And then the biggest challenge is maybe just myself, I think. Yeah, just ourselves, like the overthinking, can I do this, the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And women tend to have this emotional thinking, like we always try to detail everything. If I do this, will it be right? Should I not? Should I not? And I kept thinking about it for weeks and months without doing anything. So maybe it's a very, very fast growing world. I think if we kept just emotionally like a Libra, I'm a Libra, we just slow and decisive. I think we're just gonna, they're just running and we're gonna say bye-bye. Everyone's asking about us. So yeah, the biggest challenge is gonna be for me is overthinking and just to what's overthinking. The problem is thinking negatively about everything, like get off our comfort zone and etc. Yeah, we're just limiting ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
Limiting. That's it.
Oh
That's the problem.
I'm sure we all feel that way. I'm sure every single, it doesn't matter how successful you are or how well you're doing in life. I think every single person, especially women, as you said, have that imposter syndrome and that doubt of like, am I doing enough? Can I be doing more? What else should I be doing? Right. And it's so toxic, that like mindset that we have. That's definitely something that I've been personally trying to work on as well, is like, how do you maintain your imposter syndrome? It's healthy to a degree. It's very, very unhealthy, right? So yeah, I definitely understand the imposter syndrome, but I love what you said about being consistent, because I think a lot of people talk about how do you feel motivated, right? How do you keep going when things are tough? And one of the answers, I guess, is like you said, just you have to just be consistent, right? It doesn't matter what you are feeling that day. You got to do what you got to do, right? You got to get to work. You got to wake up in the morning and go to school, right? So I love that. Mandy, what about you? What are your biggest challenges and lessons?
I think mine is a little bit more depressing because I don't know. I think going into the industry so young, I mean, I started working when I was 17, and I've started having these meetings with all these older people who are so much higher than me, and I feel like the imposter syndrome, of course. I feel like I wasn't strong enough in my portfolio or in my works, and I was really searching for validation over these professionals. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that I would warn a lot of other teenagers who are trying to get into the industry so young. Like, make sure that you have a group of supportive people around you, and make sure that you validate yourself and your feelings, because sometimes there's you can slip up easily in the industry, and it won't be like how you slip up at school or at universities, where you are slipping up with people your age. But this is someone who has a career, and you can sort of taint your career if you do the wrong move in the industry. Yeah, so maybe that's why I've my other side of the dream is just to go to college or university, so that I can sort of explore my personality or what I want in life much freer, with less judgment, because I am in the right environment. But I think by going to the industry so young, you kind of lost that privilege, because you sort of have to grow up with the expectations of an adult. Yeah.
That's such a, I was about to say, oh my gosh, like that is such a mature way of seeing your situation. I'm like blown away by your answer right now, honestly. I was like, I think if I was in your position and I was 17 years old and I was trying to make a name for myself, I think I would be crying in my room every day, like, why don't people like me?
Right? Exactly. I was in that phase, but I was asking, like, why don't these older men and women like me? And it's, I think it's a different challenge, and it's not a pretty challenge.
Yeah, but I mean, look at you now, right? So your hard work definitely paid off. All right, so we have a couple of questions from the audience that I think we're gonna touch on now. This one is a really, really interesting one. It's kind of long, so I'll read it first and then I'll put it up. So why do we need to balance between career and education? What are the main benefits to being a working student? So we kind of covered that already, but this next question, the second part of this question, I think is really interesting. How do we convince our parents or the older generation that don't see working experience as an important one over education? So should we focus on the second part? Because we talked a lot about, like, what are the pros and cons, what are the main benefits? So, like, maybe we focus on the second part of the question. So how did you convince your parents, especially like you, Mandy, right? Like, you didn't go to school. If I told my parents that I wasn't going to college, I think my parents would be like pretty mad, right? So, like, how did you convince your parents that working experience was just as important as education?
By the way, my mom's watching right now, so hi, Mom. I don't know. I think I'm pretty blessed with really supportive parents that understood my weakness in the academic field, and who is open-minded enough. I mean, I come from like a very conservative Chinese Indonesian family, but they are open-minded enough to see career paths other than the medical field or the law field or the business field. Even though now I am in the business field, but when I was like 15, all I wanted to do was draw. And I think Chindos, we have Kumon. You go to math lessons every day.
Don't
and I
say
would
that triggering word.
I know Kumon is such a triggering word, but I would cry. I would literally like scream and be like, and throw a tantrum, like, I don't want to go, because I fail so bad at it. And I think maybe it's because my parents knew that I wasn't meant to be in this field anyway. So I think they're kind of forced to, like, you know what, just go swim, go do whatever you want. And I think it's also of my parents' prior experience, because they didn't get formal education and they started working on their own. So maybe they've sort of valued the grit and the entrepreneurial skills that you need to learn by doing. So I think I was kind of blessed that way. But I think if I had stricter parents, I would definitely sit them down and make and compromise with them. I think like kalau misalnya mereka harusin gue banget ke S1 and take a degree, maybe I would have done that, but I would tell them like, okay, to compensate for this, I will also pursue this career on the side, you know. And I think negotiating is the way to go.
Yeah. Always negotiate, girl.
Yeah, always.
Alisa, did you have like a similar experience with your parents when you were like, I want to be a doctor, but I also want to compete in Miss Indonesia? Like, did they have any?
All they ask, this is the problem. All they ask is just me having the doctor degree. So basically, I can do everything. I keep on track. But referring to the questions and how you convince your parents that not see working experience as important, well, it's really hard because, you know, understanding comes from knowledge. If your parents doesn't have the knowledge that working experience is also as important as uni, then maybe you have to insert that knowledge. Maybe not you, maybe can their friends or families. But yeah, if that doesn't work, then try to negotiate. Maybe pick a degree. Don't pick med school. Pick something else. Marketing, MBA. Yeah, just pick something that's very similar to your passion, so you can make up excuses to yourself why you have to, you know, keep going for another 4 years.
Yeah, that's actually very funny that you girls both said compromise, because that's exactly what I had the opposite problem. I wanted to get my master's and my parents were like, why? Like, you can just get your working experience and that's basically a business degree. And they didn't understand why I wanted to go get my master's, and I had to convince them, and we compromised on that as well. Because I told them, I was like, I'm gonna do a master's in the UK, which is only 1 year, instead of doing one in the US, which is gonna be 2 years. And I was like, I'm just gonna be gone for a year, and then I'll be back, and then I'll continue working. And like, that's so funny that we all said compromise, because it is so true. Like, you fight logic with logic, right? As much as we can, which is pretty cool. All right, so I know we're running out of time. I have one last question for both of you before I end this session. I'm really sad that this session is almost done, because this was actually super, super fun. I was like, honestly, very tired before this session, and you girls kind of just like hyped me back up. So I'm very happy about that. So last question. Do you girls have any advice or resources to help the audience here who maybe are balancing their own careers and education?
Don't forget to take a break, because you need fuel, and having a day off is fuel. I know that the culture right now is all about productivity and making sure that you do a lot of things in a day. But honestly, I mean, I need to take this advice myself. After a week of work, you deserve that 1 day of break, and you shouldn't feel guilty for it. You know, as a student or as a professional, I think you need to learn to portion out what you take, because too much is never good. Ntar malah tipes.
Sama gue dong.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's very, very true. Alisa, you want to add anything on to that?
Well, in working and also in studying, take your mental health seriously. So protect your happiness, protect yourself. If you have toxic environment, please be there to leave and to find a new one. Always seek help, professional help, if it's necessary. You know, like, it's all around us, so it always seeks help. And the last one, if you're studying or working, always remember your goals. What is your goals? Always have fun, so you always have a reason to keep going. Or if you don't have any reason to keep going, it's really gonna be really hard to keep yourself happy and content for every day, you know. Maybe that's it from me.
Oh my gosh, yes, 100% to everything you just said, to everything both of you just said. So I learned so much from this session. I was literally like, the whole time that you girls were talking, I was like on my laptop, like taking notes, trying to be as quiet as possible, because like, usually when I type like super, super loud and very aggressively. So I was trying to be like as quiet as possible, like a little mouse, so I didn't, the audio didn't come through. But yeah, I learned so much from this session. So maybe I can just summarize a little bit about what I learned, or if, you know, anyone in the audience, if you want to maybe put in the chat box what you guys learned from this session as well, that would be pretty cool. But I think one of the biggest things that I took from this discussion was that there's no right or wrong way to be successful, right? Like, you girls are coming from such different fields, and you had such different journeys to get where you are today. But the fact that you both came out on top is like very inspiring, right? Like, it's not even just like, oh, you have to go into education first, and then you have to get an internship, and then you work, and then you're successful. There's no like climbing the ladder. There's no, you know, like, you girls had such interesting journeys that got you to where you are today. And I think that is so, so inspiring for everyone here who, like, I think maybe is feeling like they are just kind of chugging through, like me. Like, I feel sometimes that I'm just like chugging through, like, okay, I went to school, I graduated college, I did a little bit of work, I went to such a traditional route, and the fact that you can gain success in other ways, I think, is super inspiring. Another thing that we touched upon a little bit as well was focusing on the foundational skills, right? So like you said, Mandy, getting internship experience was a way for you to focus a lot on your character, build your character, focus on your leadership skills, focus on your foundational skills. And obviously, Elisa, from your very, very long educational journey, definitely one of the things I'm sure that they're teaching you as well is really focusing on the foundational skills and how you can problem solve, and in such a heavy technical environment. And then obviously the lessons and the takeaways that I think were super important for everybody here was, you know, being consistent, knowing yourself and knowing your feelings, and being honest with yourself about when you need help. I think that was something that is so important, and something that I'm trying to do personally myself as well, is like being self-aware enough to know that you are okay to get help, right? Like, there's no shame in getting help. And I think that's something so like important for all of us to know. Taking a break, learning how to portion out so that you don't get typhoid. That is very important, right? Taking a break so you don't overstress your body as well, knowing not just your feelings and yourself, but your body, protecting your happiness. And this one is like probably like the last thing that you said, Elisa. I was just like, yes, facts. Like, always remember your goals. Like, that is something that, in my opinion, is so important, because you always have those really good days, you have some really bad days, but as long as you stay consistent, you remember why you're doing all of this hard work, I think is, you know, obviously amazing. So thank you so much, girls, for that incredible discussion. I want to add a little bit as well that the card deck that we played, the Would You Rather, that's available to download for free on the Love Bonito International Women's Day campaign website, and is also accessible, I think, in a link that the Love Bonito admin is about to put in the chat box now. Like we mentioned, we were using these cards to start a conversation between the three of us, and you can definitely do the same thing with your own friends and family. Do you girls have any like last minute like words of wisdom, any last minute like statements that you want to say before we end this conversation?
I think I've run out of wisdom.
I'm putting you girls on the spot so hard. All right, so I just want to say one last heartfelt thank you to both Elisa and Mandy for joining me today. We talked a lot about balancing education and career, and I hope that it was very fruitful for everybody in the audience. Thank you also to Love Bonito for inviting me as the moderator, and Mandy and Elisa as well as the speakers for today's session. Like I said, I hope it was fruitful. We hope that it helped you in your own personal journey. I'm Nadine Sirigar from Generation Girl. Good night, and we'll see you at the next session. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.